Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network. in the game for the next 30 minutes or a fraction more. Thousands all over the world are dressed out, and yet only one man is ready to start. He played with Garnett and the Minnesota Timberwolves with a career that started with the Indiana Pacers and earned the NBA Head Coach of the Year with the Toronto Raptors. You hear him on Sirius XM Radio and saw him on NBA TV. And now, get the buzzer ready. Start the clocks. Blow the whistle. Right now, it's time for former NBA head coach in the game with Sam Mitchell.
Welcome to In the Game. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell. How my people out there doing today? Glad to be with you, man. There's a lot of things to get to today, so we're going to get right at it, man. The debacle last night in OKC. When you think about Halliburton, and the critics have been on him, you know, this week poll that they talked about him early in the playoffs as the most overrated player. Don't agree with that. A lot of guys overrated. He's not one of them. Maybe we've overestimated his talent. Maybe he's not as good as Indiana needs him to be, but he's a very good player. To me, when I think about Halliburton, I think he's an all-star, but I don't think of him as every year for the next 5 years, he's going to make the all-star team. Would it surprise me if he didn't make the all-star team next year? No. Would it also surprise me if he did? No. I mean, but I do not, and I would bet you anything, I do not see him as a guy like Steve Nash, like LeBron, that you could just pencil in for 6, 7, 8 in a row. I just don't see him like that. And I think that's the problem with people. And now, when you look at how he's paid, you know, the Indiana Pacers paid him, and he earned it. You know, he was putting up numbers that first half of the season that was ungodly, just guarding numbers, and they was winning. And he was the engine that got this team going because Rick Carlisle had installed that fast-paced offense. He was the perfect guard to make it work. And then, not being big but slight of build, he could get into the cracks and crevices on the defense and facilitate and shoot those floaters. And even though that three-point shot of his not as ugly to me, he figures out how to get it off and get it in. So when I look at Halliburton, I don't think of him in the standpoint like I do Shea. I don't think of him as one of those great guards. Even James Harden, no. I don't put him in those class of guards. And so for all the people that are coming down on him, I get it. You know, because people going to look at how much you make. And my whole thing is, and I'm going to give you my take, okay? I've spoken to several people about this now. And I've had people say to me that Halliburton should have went to Rick Carlisle and said, look, my backup is playing lights out, which he was. The backup was just balling. And you can make the argument that the backup, T.J. McConnell, has played better. If you go minute for minute based on the minutes, I think T.J. McConnell has been better. Now, Halliburton had a good game 3, and he had that one moment in game 1, which is big to win the game. But other than that, he's been very pedestrian. So a lot of people have said to me, well, Coach, Halliburton should have went to Rick Carlisle and said, look, my calf is not feeling well. I'm not 100%. T.J. is playing well. I need to sit the rest of this out and you roll with TJ. And I say, no, he can't do that. Look, you're 100 games to the season plus. Everybody's sore. Everybody got strains. Everybody's tired. Everybody's beat up, mentally and physically. And Halliburton understands that. Now, let me tell you now what would have happened. If Halliburton would have took himself out the game and he was playing, having a bad game, every national media would have came down on him as being soft. Every national media would have came down and said he quit on his team because he was having a bad game. Every national media would have took this guy to task. To me, this is what should have happened. Rick Carlisle, the coach, saw that he was injured, saw that he couldn't protect himself. And what I mean by protect himself, I mean he's out there on defense, you can't guard your guy. Offense, you can't get by your guy. You can't be effective. Rick Carlisle, being a champion as a player and as a coach, he has the cachet to say, Halliburton, come here. I know you want to play, Tyrese. You've been the heart and soul of our team. But there's going to be a game 6. The series is not over. I'm going to pull you for the rest of the game. As a matter of fact, I'm going to send you in the locker room to start your treatment now. TJ is playing well, so we're not going to lose anything. As a matter of fact, we're going to gain some. This is my thought process if I'm the coach. Because the coach has to make that call. There is no way in God's green earth that a player of his caliber that makes what he makes, unless he breaks his leg or you see it dangling, he can take himself out of that game. He can't do it. There is no way. He would be getting crucified right now on social media, in the news, everywhere. So he did the right thing. And if you ask any player, can they play? They're going to lie to you. That's the nature. Look, you know how many times I've been hurt? Not. And not to toot my own horn, I played 41 games with what I thought was a torn meniscus. But at the end of the season, I had to have microfracture surgery. You know what microfracture surgery is? Let me tell you what it is. Because the doctors, when I had my knee replaced, they didn't know what it was, the young doctor. It's when you lose all the cartilage in your knee and they drill tiny holes into your bone, and your bone excretes a cartilage-like material, but it's not cartilage, but it's cartilage-like. And the hope is that that stuff seeps into that area where your cartilage once was to keep it from being bone on bone, and you can have some level of activity without pain. That was my surgery. And through the grace of God, I think only 2 other guys had had this surgery. Steve Stepanovich, that played for the Pacers, he had it, never came back. I can't remember the other guy. But after my surgery, and I came back opening night, the doctor told me I was a miracle. So I understand playing. And I played, and looking back on it, I shouldn't have been playing, obviously, with that type of injury. I played 41 games in the playoffs. We got beat in the first round by San Antonio Spurs. I couldn't practice. I got my knee drained every other day. If I walked from my house to the car, my knee would swell. But I played. I would put a big brace on it. They wrap it tight. Try to keep the swelling down. And I played. And when Flip asked me, can you go? I looked him right in the eye and lied to him and said yes.
Let me ask you though, considering that the game it wasn't out of reach until late. Does Carlisle consider the minutes that TJ McConnell would have been given and not have returned to that game? And would he go to another guy?
He would have had to, because the way TJ McConnell plays, he plays at maximum effort all the time. And it seems like he runs out of gas after 4, 5, 6 minutes. So he would have had to. But you got other guys on that team that you can slide and handle the ball. The way Indiana plays, Halliburton don't dominate the ball like Steve Nash does anyway, like he did. No point guard does that today because no one runs a dominant point guard offense. The Knicks with Brunson, probably the closest, but everybody else read and react, pass and play. So think about Denver. The Joker is the point guard. So teams don't play the traditional basketball where the point guard has the ball 90% of the time. So it's different. I felt like Halliburton, Rick Carlisle should have said it. I thought that as a coach, that's what you're paid to do. That's your decision. You don't put that decision on a player. You don't do that. And think about it from this standpoint. Everybody would have questioned it.
Right. Right. He would have been questioned even if Rick Carlisle said him. Until post-game interview where they would have asked, did he sit himself or did he?
But listen to me. This is what I said I would have done. I would have sent him to the locker room starting to treat. Remember now, he had already went to the locker room when he first injured, right? To get some treatment. And he came back. I would have just sent him back to the locker room there. And my press conference would have been, guys, as y'all saw, Therese was struggling a little bit tonight with that calf. I didn't want to leave him out there because there's going to be a game 6. We do have another game. I sent him back to the locker room to start his treatment. Plus, I had the comfort that TJ was really playing well. So we wasn't losing anything. And that's what our team has been this year. When one guy has been down, the other guys have uplifted. That's my press conference. Nobody's going to question that. Nobody. But if Halliburton would have took himself out, oh no, they'd be killing him. And for the people who want to say that he should have took himself out of the game, they do not understand professional athletes. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand what's expected of you, especially when you're in the finals. And then, now that he does want to play, dude, most players understand. Most players do not play in the NBA finals. I played 13 years, never played in the NBA finals. Played in 2 Eastern Conference finals, never NBA finals. Most players never get to that point. So obviously, you want to play. And especially if you're an all-star caliber player, right? Because this is where reputations are born and raised, right? Yeah, now that, look, man, I know you're pointing at the clock. I know we got to take a little break. But look, we're going to take a break now. We got to pay some bills. And when we come back, we're going to finish this topic because I just feel like this young man has been, look, not making excuses for him. He has been very pedestrian. He has not played like an all-star. And even last night, and see, now what makes it worse, you played in 34 minutes. You still played in 34 minutes. So he couldn't protect himself. He couldn't really do anything positive, and you played in 34 minutes. So the right thing to do, in my opinion, would have been to take him out of the game. But look, we got to pay some bills, man. Look, thank you for joining in right now. We'll be back in a moment with In the Game. Your host, Sam Mitchell. We'll be back right after this break.
Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bowl t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network.
Look, I was disappointed in the way Halliburton has played. He hasn't played up to the level of the contract, not in the finals. You think about it from this standpoint. OKC 2 All-Stars, Jalen Williams and Shea combined for 71 points in the pivotal game 5. Indiana Pacers 2 All-Stars, Pascal Siakam and Therese Halliburton combined for 32 points. 28 of them was from Pascal Siakam. So he did his part. Now think about it from this standpoint. If Halliburton would have had 18 points, they win the game. They win the game. And that's not exceptional. That's mediocre. So if you're the Pacers, you still got to feel like you can win. You know you can win game 6 at home and figure out how to win a game 7. Everybody's going to be nervous, but now that I go to my grave saying this, he could not have taken himself out of that game. That's a coach's decision. That's what we as coaches are paid to do, to make those tough decisions. And also we're paid to protect players from themselves. And leaving him out there obviously wasn't good. It wasn't 4 points. He wasn't effective. And then not taking him out the game and taking whatever, if there was going to be some heat. I don't believe if Rick would have took him out the game, there wouldn't have been any heat. There wouldn't have been any question, because remember now, as I said earlier, he had always went to the back end.
Right.
And I just felt like, and Rick's an experienced coach.
Right. Good coach.
And so, and the reason people are killing Halliburton, because this is what they're saying. Well, your coach still played you 34 minutes. So he thought you was okay.
But like you said, he's a warrior. He's
gonna play.
But now that game is passed and OKC has gone up 3-2. The question is, now that it's going back to Indy, can Indy pull off a home win, or is OKC right where they need to be? I mean, they seem like they're rolling.
Yeah, they are. You're listening In the Game podcast. Don't forget to push those like buttons, subscribe, and share. Keep doing that. Let us know that you're watching and listening and enjoying the conversation, the podcast. But look, Natty, Rick Carlisle, to me, dropped the ball on that situation. Halliburton did what any player is supposed to do. If the coach look him in the eye and say, "Can you go?" Yeah, coach, I can go. Rick played. Rick played with Kevin McHale, who played in the playoffs with a broken ankle. Now think about it from this standpoint. If you were playing for Kevin McHale back in the day when he was general manager of Timberwolves, and he played in the playoff with a broken ankle, what excuse you gonna give him that you can't play? None. Can't do it. And so Halliburton did the right thing. I thought that was a great opportunity for the coach to save him. And then, if nothing else, even if his ankle wasn't as bad, you still pull him to protect him from himself. From how he was just playing off. He just and look, give Lou Dort some credit, because let me tell you something. If I had a vote for defensive player of the year, that's who would have got it. Man, this dude, he reminds me of Dennis Rodman, and he reminds me of a young Ron Artest. Metal World Peace. Young, not when he was old and just held and grabbed. In the NBA, let's people bullet. No. I'm talking about early, when I came in the league, they put hands on guys, and he can move his feet. But what Lou Dort, to me, is the best defender in the NBA. And I would say this. If he keeps defending at this level, if there's a Hall of Fame just for defense, or if you could start ranking the greatest defensive player, and I'm not talking about shot block. I think sometimes shot blockers get too much credit as being great defenders. They're not. Just your ability to block a shot does not make you a great defender.
But there'll be guys, well, I can name a guy who I think made the Hall of Fame based on his defense.
Oh, Ben Wallace? Dennis Rodman, Ben Wallace. Oh, those guys, but it's going to be different from a guard perspective.
Right.
Because you can look at their rebounds, you can look at, the physicality and all that stuff. How do you judge that with a guard?
It's tough.
It's going to be tough.
But to me, man, he's earning that. If there's a Hall of Fame for defense, yeah. So a lot of Tyrese's struggles is not just him.
Right.
Give OKC credit and defense credit.
So what does that mean for going back to Game 6 in Indy? I mean, I don't think.
No, have I told you that?
I don't think Tyrese's going to be 100% in 2 days.
Nope. But listen. You're at home. You sleep in your own bed. You eat your own food. You with your family. You drive the same way to the game. You have the same routine. And what we've seen is we've seen the difference of these two teams at home and away night and day. And the biggest difference is role players. Look how the role players for OKC made shots last night. They didn't make those shots Game 3 in Indy, right? And then you can also say Game 4 because Shea just took over that game in the fourth quarter. So there's a difference. I expect Indiana to win Game 6. I'd be shocked if OKC go in there and beat them. But that being said, I think OKC going to win the series in 7 because I just can't see Indy going back to OKC and winning the pivotal Game 7. I just don't see it right now.
What kind of adjustments? I remember we talked about, I think it was 1-1. We talked about adjustments that Rick Carlisle might have to make. We talked about setting side screens. We talked about the guards, keeping the ball in front of them, not letting them get the ball stolen from the back. We talked about pin down. And then I watched Game 3, and it was like, did you have a conversation with Rick Carlisle? Because everything that you said, the adjustments that you said you would make, Indiana did make those adjustments. So now that we're going to Game 6, we're going back to Indy. After Indy has lost 2 straight. What adjustments are you looking for Rick Carlisle to make now?
To tell you the truth about it, at this stage, it's not really about adjustments. It's about players playing better. Halliburton's got to play better. Miles Turner got to play better. You know what I mean? Look at Jay Will and Shea played 71 points. They got to play better, man. You know what I mean? You know what those guys trying to take away from you now. You know where Shea trying to go. You know everything that he wants to do. You can almost read each other's mind. But the question is, who can enforce their will on the other person and make them break. That's all it is. When you get into a series, when you get to game 6, it's all about who gonna crack first. And the one thing about being at home in a closeout game, you're gonna fight your behind off not to get put out at home. Nobody wants to see OKC celebrating on their court. You listen to In the Game with Sam Mitchell. Don't forget to hit that like button, share us. Also subscribe to the In the Game Network. We have other shows pending that'll be coming to you soon. A lot of good things, a lot of good shows, a lot of diversity in our lineup. But yeah, man, I look, game 6 obviously is the most important game for the Pacers. If not, OKC is going to celebrate. Before we switch topics, I just got some news. I'm going to be going to game 6. I'll be covering game 6 for Sirius XM Radio with Justin Turner. So, I'm going to be in the building. The last time I was in the building in the playoffs, the Celtics won the championship in Boston. And I was on the floor doing interviews afterwards. Now, I hope I'm not on the floor doing interviews Thursday night. Because if I am, that means OKC is won. She probably will. If they're not playing, I'm sure she'll be. Man, I don't keep up with it like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing. I've been watching the games on television, seeing Dale Davis, my old teammate Reggie Miller, a bunch of guys that I played with are at the game. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys, giving them a hug, catching up with those guys. So it's going to be exciting, man. I can't wait to game 6. It's been a great series, and you just think about this before we move on. Pascal Siakam hits a 3. It's a 2-point game. So these games have been nip and tuck until the very end, and give OKC credit, man. They figured out how to get it done, but Indiana's hanging, man. They're hanging.
Yeah, one thing they don't give up. They have that fighting mentality. Miles Turner, you mentioned last thing before we go.
What does he have to provide in order for Indiana to really have a fighting chance? Because they big. Hartenstein set the tone.
I'm gonna say this. They need to alter the things they're asking him to do slightly. For instance, he is not a big that can drop in coverage when you bring the screen really high. If you bring that screen up past the 3-point line, he can't drop, and that's what Jay Will and Shea getting downhill on. He's a good pick and roll defender when the screen happens inside the top of the key because he can block shots. And now you don't have that much room to operate. Now if the guy try to get to the hole, he eats that space up. But the way they have negated his shot blocking is OKC is setting that screen way out by the 3-point line. And he's not a great athlete, got bad feet, footwork, and they're taking advantage of it. I think the first thing they need to think about doing, if you're Indy, is when that screen is really high, you drop him a little bit, and the guard would drop and go on, right? And you may have to concede some 3-point shots to Jay Will and Shea, but man, those are tough shots off the dribble. I'd rather see them pulling up for threes than getting down here. But we gotta take a break. You listen to In the Game. When we come back, now what are we talking about? What's on the agenda?
Well,
the New York Knicks?
The Knicks, debacle. I don't know where they get a coach from. They might get a coach.
Man, you've been seeing, man, people are crazy, man. They've been feeling like, the Knicks have contacted Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy told them no. Just all kind of outlandish, stupid stuff. But listen, you're listening to In the Game. We'll be right back after this short break.
Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch From the In the Game online store, coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network.
Welcome back to In the Game. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell. This segment, you see this hat I'm wearing, people? It's HGI. Stands for Hegemon Group International. And what we are the largest distribution of financial services. That's right. We are distributors. We're the Walmart and the Amazon of distribution when it comes to financial services. IUL, estate planning, taxes, wills and trusts, life insurance with living benefits, just all type of things. I can teach you how money works, teach you how really a 401k plan really, really, really works. So this segment is brought to me by my own company. I'm part of my wife and I, Dawn Mitchell, a part of Hegemon Group International. We have our own subsidiary office with the parent company. And man, we just enjoyed meeting great people, doing great things, and educating people along the way. And again, we tell people this all the time. We bring Wall Street to Main Street. That being said, welcome back to In the Game. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell. Don't forget to hit those like buttons, subscribe to the In the Game Network, share these comments, share this podcast with family and friends, because I'm just going to give you a different perspective than what's out there. I've had the great fortune of playing and coaching in the NBA. And not just that, but playing on every level. I played in this old CBA. I played in a league called the United States Basketball League. I played in Europe. And I played in every professional league that pays. Everyone. And so I think I know a little bit about what it takes to be a pro. I think I've learned a lot about the sacrifices it takes. And I tell you what, though, what I have learned about it is that all NBA teams are not created equal. First of all, the Knicks. When we went to break, we talked about this debacle that's going on right now in New York. Listen, if I was the Knicks, and I know you're going to laugh and say they can't do this, I would pick up the phone and I would call Tom and say, we made a mistake. Of all the candidates that we've interviewed, we feel like none are as good as you. And look, man, now the last time we made it, I understand some of the things Tom did that got him fired. And because I look at this objectively. But this is where I would push back on why he shouldn't have been fired. Larry Brown used to say this all the time. And Larry Brown, a Hall of Fame coach, a championship coach. He used to say, I don't care. The day I've stopped learning something about this game, I learn something every day. It's the day I need to quit. Tom Thibodeau is still, he showed his growth in this series. He played his bench. He changed the starting lineup. He changed their style and pace of play a little bit. He did things to give them a chance to win games. And they got all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. People didn't give him credit. He outcoached Boston Celtics and Joe Mazzulla. He outcoached them. And people will say, oh, Tatum got hurt. No. They were down. Boston was down when Tatum got hurt late in that fourth quarter. And it looked like New York was going to win that game anyway. So I don't even want to hear that. And I do believe, and I said this, after they beat Boston, the expectations for Tibbs became too high. When they beat the Boston Celtics, everybody in New York, including ownership and management, said, Indiana? Right. Indiana did us a favor by beating Cleveland, because nobody thought the Knicks could beat Cleveland based on their record during the regular season with top teams, right? They had 1-11, something like that. Horrible. So now all of a sudden, Indiana upsets Cleveland. So here you are. You're the Knicks. And all of a sudden, you just played the Dragon, the big bad Boston Celtics, who have had your number, not just the last few years, but way back in the day, forever. So now all of a sudden, you're like, I know we are going to the finals now, because I know we could beat Indiana. And you should have. And you would have. If you don't let a 17-point lead evaporate with 6 minutes and some change, you're playing in the final. And I said it after game one.
Yeah.
They were not going to recover from that loss.
The question, before I get to my question, there's a question in the chat. DJ Chuck, why didn't the New York Knicks have a plan in place to hire a new coach?
Chuck, great question. First of all, you don't even fight here. You know you got another coach ready to go. Right? You don't even make that call. Listen, in 2 days, we got a press conference scheduled. We're going to introduce this guy. You don't do that and hadn't already gauged who you could get. Like, you're sending out messages to see what Dallas let you talk to their coach, Jason Kidd. Why would I let you have my coach? Why would I do that? I like my coach. You know why I know Dallas like their coach? They gave him an extension, even after they traded Luka. Because they believe that the way Jason Kidd coached his team, and now with the addition of Cooper Flag, and I know Kyrie's going to be out for half the season, but a great stopgap until he gets back to me is Chris Paul. Man, and Chris Paul would love to be on that team because Chris Paul look at that team and say, we can win a chip, and I can be a part of it.
Right.
Think about having Chris Paul as a backup when Kyrie comes back. And so, exactly. So there's some things. So I understand Houston. You can't talk about coach Minnesota.
Right.
Oh, heck no.
Coach.
Yeah, I mean, look, now some of these coaches, but that's another story. But listen. So it's asinine that they're in this situation.
Right.
Man, they could quite frankly end up with a coach that they really don't want. And this is going to be the problem. The only way that coach can survive, he's got to win championship. Because think about it. Tibbs went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So if you go back to the Eastern Conference Finals, you get trash. You're trash. So the only thing now that they can do better, minimum, you got to get to the finals. And that's going to be hard next year now.
Let me ask you a question, though. I wanted to ask you these two questions since we're talking about the Knicks and the head coaching job. One, my first question is, do you still have the itch to be a head coach in the NBA? Because I know the people at home want to know.
And two, if the Knicks were to call you and say, Sam, we want to bring you out of the time.
We really at the bottom of the barrel. No, I'm just joking. Of course I would. Now, look, I still coach in the summertime. I coach AAU teams. I coached Jalen Green when he was in high school in the summer AAU team. I coached Darren Peterson, who signed with Kansas. Oh, congratulations, Young Buck. Mike showed me the new vehicle you got. But well deserved, man. But yeah, I still coach kids. I still coach. I still train guys. If players call me, and I don't advertise it. You know, I do a lot of stuff with guys in the gym, and people just don't know I do that still. And I do it because coaching has always been my passion, being on the floor. Now, the reason I got my hip and knee redone is that, you know, I have a younger son coming through the pipeline that has a chance to be pretty good. And I want to be healthy and in shape enough to get on the court with him. You know, and I like court work. So would I entertain? Absolutely. Ride my bicycle there. But now they're going to, it's going to be tough, man. The only way whoever they hire, they got to win a championship or get to the final, or it's going to be considered a total bust. That's the position that the Knicks have put their next coach in because the way they've handled this. This has been malpractice at the highest level.
So what are you hearing as far as potential head coaches? I mean, I once heard Mike Brown,
Taylor Jenkins,
Luke Walton.
Could be. Dude, to me, I would circle back to Frank Vogel. I would pick up the phone and call Jeff Van Gundy. Now, I know he and Tommy, Coach Tibbs, were really close, and he may not take the job because of that. But, man, the Knicks job, you need to have had some experience. Not just coaching with the media. And this is another thing, Doc. You coaching veterans. Veterans are hard to coach. So if you just put anybody in that seat and they're not 100% confident or they don't know how to take command of a room or take command of a team, those guys going to eat them up. They're going to eat them up. So it's imperative that they get this right. And getting it right means hiring a coach that can take them to the finals.
Ooh, that's
I know it's a tall order.
That's a tall order.
But that's the position they put this up
in.
in.
You can get it done, though. I believe I really believe I ain't just
Well,
saying
I know
that.
I know Carl Anthony Towns. I've coached him before.
Get your coaching staff together.
Yeah. The key is getting the right coaching staff, which I know I could put together. And now that it's basketball.
Well,
Like,
let me ask you, because the people at home, you got the insight. I know the people at home, they want to get the insight. When a team calls a coach and they say, Sam, we want you to be the head coach. Do you already have to have your coaching staff together?
No.
So how do you go about putting your coaching staff together in time? And how much time do you have to do it to get ready for the next season?
Dude, getting together a coaching staff is the easiest thing to do for this reason. There's always a lot of out of work, unemployed coaches. And then if it's somebody that you have a relationship that's on somebody else's staff, you can ask permission to speak to that guy. And most coaches, if I was a head coach and you on my staff, but I know you had a great relationship, you go way back with Quinn Snyder. And Quinn Snyder gets the job for the Atlanta Hawks. And Quinn picks up the phone, hey, Noddy, my dude, you see I got the Hawks job. Hey, man, I want you with me. And you came to me like, coach, you know, me and Quinn been together a long time. He just got the Hawks job. He wants me to join him. I will let you do it because we understand those relationships, right? And I wouldn't be mad about it or upset about it. Now, if you were one of my better assistants that I felt like I couldn't live without, I would have been like, you know what, Nadi? I know that's your boy, but guess what we getting ready to do? We getting ready to make you associate head coach and give you a $250,000 raise. Will that make you happy? And you probably like, hey, Quinn, I can't go. I'll holler at you, right? So you can work things out, and that worked out very easy, Nadi. So the easiest thing to do for me would be getting a coaching staff. Now, there's some guys that I would call that are on some current coaching staff because I have relationships with them. I've worked with them. I know what kind of coaches they are. I trust them. And but yeah, and then now I always look for me a young guy to be on my staff that we can develop. They're smart and look at the game a little bit different. Now, we can sit in the room and talk lessons and stuff because he's so young, but it's gonna be at the right time and right moment that he's gonna give us something that we've never thought of. I hear that music. We're going to take a break right now, but when we get back, man, we're going to dive into Nadi?
Who wants KD?
What's that? We're going to dive into who wants KD? Well, how can I phrase it? Where does KD want to go? Because it seems like that's what it is. We're going to dive into the world of Kevin Durant. You're listening to In the Game podcast with your host, Sam Mitchell. We'll be back after this break.
Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight. Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network.
Welcome back to In the Game. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell. Going out of break, we posed the question. Who wants Kevin Durant, and where does Kevin Durant want to go? And should he be given that, I don't know, what would you call it? Should he be given that consideration to kind of pick and choose his destination? Or should the Phoenix Suns say, look, we're looking for the best deal, and we're going to do that deal to better our team? Look, they have to include him in this process because he only has 1 year left on his current contract. He's eligible to sign a 2-year extension for $122 million. And if you're going to make the trade for Kevin Durant, you would like a commitment to think or know that he's going to sign the extension and stay with you. Or, now that to me, I wouldn't really worry about it because if he doesn't play well and you don't win big, now you don't have to sign him to that contract. Now he's a free agent, right? So to me, it would make sense to let him play out last year because I would think of it like this. If he wins a championship with you, more than likely, he's going to re-sign with you, right?
Right.
Not like Kawhi. KD at the end of his career, if he wins a championship with a team and think they got a chance to repeat, he's going to stay. To me, you're taking a big risk if you're going to commit to him past next year. I would love the fact that he's on a 1-year deal, and because I don't have to commit to that $120 million, I can get to see the best of KD because he's going to ball out, man, because he's going to want that 2-year
He's
extension.
gonna ball out on the offensive end, but basketball got two ends of the flow.
Got it.
Go ahead, tell me
I
about
know
it.
that. You know that. It has a lot of other ends, not just defense, rebounding, diving on the floor, leading ball, taking charges, all kinds of things, blocking shots,
Right.
getting in row, closing out on guys, even if you can't get there, just making them an effort. A favorite phrase that my ex-teammate and coach I used to coach with Cindy Lowe say all the time, multiple efforts.
Right. And you got a 7-foot, 37
Yeah.
year old.
Yeah. It's hard to get multiple efforts when you're old, man.
Right.
It is what it is. And then you look at these guys, even though you cut their games to 60 to 65 during the regular season, you watch their minutes. Now that once you expose them to 42 minutes a game like you do in the playoffs, those old injuries pop up. Those guys get hurt again. So there is no surefire way. What these general managers got to understand, there is no surefire way to protect guys from injury. Let me tell you the best way to protect guys from injury. Play them. Let their body get used to it. Now, when I first started playing football, they made everybody get their ankles taped. Everybody, and we thought it was so cool. As young men, we got to get to practice early, sit on the table, and we get our ankles taped. You know, it was a big deal to get your ankles taped. And then as I moved up, when I got to college, I trained him, and I went in to get taped first practice. He said, "Why are you getting taped?" I said, "Well, I've been getting taped since 9th grade high school." He said, "Why? You sprained your ankle severely or something?" I said, "No, football." And he said, "Look, Sam, try practicing without tape. So if you get hurt, then we'll take care of that." He said, "But taping makes your ankle weak, makes it weaker." So the first half of my NBA career, I didn't wear any tape. Then midway through, I would start wearing ankle braces. And then at the very end, I went back to no ankle braces and low top sneakers. Because what I found once my ankles got strong, when I put tape or ankle braces on, it restricted my movement. I wasn't as quick, couldn't jump as high. So I didn't take, man. So to me, now these are 3 teams that everybody's talking about: Miami, San Antonio, and Houston. Now let me ask you this: of those 3 teams, which one do you think makes the most sense to you for Kevin Durant?
Let's look at this again. You say Miami, San Antonio, and Houston. I would have to say San Antonio.
Everybody says that, you know, he played with Victor. Kevin Durant's not, look, man, I give Kevin Durant. Yeah, but Kevin Durant knows he's not the defender he used to be.
Right.
You gotta get human eraser behind it.
Exactly.
Hey man, look, if Kevin Durant goes to Miami, let me tell you about Kevin Durant. Think about them. If he goes to Miami, he's tallest player on the team. He's bigger than Bam. He's taller than Bam. So Kevin Durant, guess what he's gonna have to do? He's gonna have to play 38, 40 minutes every night. He's gonna have to get 10, 11, 12 rebounds. And he's still gonna have to get you 25 to 30. He's gonna have to play his tail off in Miami. Houston, depending on what they give up, not so much, but San Antonio with Victor, De'Aaron Fox, young players around you. Now, think about this. Now Kevin Durant becomes the guy you're trying to hide on defense. It's not that Kevin Durant's a seer, but that's not a bad thing. If Kevin Durant's the guy that I got to hide on defense, I'll take that to the bank. But I'm like you, Nada. To me, it makes all the sense if he's going to be traded to go to San Antonio. My question to you is, again, should the Spurs want it?
I mean, for a team that's trying to get back into the playoff hunt.
Does that make them a championship caliber team?
I wouldn't say a championship caliber team, but I think offensively, it makes them hard to guard.
Okay.
And
was Phoenix hard to guard?
Phoenix hard to guard?
Yeah.
They didn't play
Okay. Okay.
I mean, you got a point.
But you got Wemby.
But you got Wemby.
Who will probably be a perennial defensive player of the year.
Oh, yeah.
I need a veteran. I need somebody in the locker room who's been there, done that. And they can at least make that next step, that next leap of being in the playoffs. At least being in the play-in.
Yeah. Look. Kevin Durant need to get Phoenix in play-in. See, that's why whoever brings him to their team, you got to be careful how much you give up. Because you still need to put good players around him. Right? Think about it. Phoenix had Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, and that wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough to me because you had two guys that replicated each other, Booker and Beal. All right? If you would have had a big or a different position guy, it might have worked. But Phoenix didn't make it, man. And this is another question. How much do you give up for a 37-year-old guy that you're going to have to pay and give an extension to for $122 million? I would tell Phoenix this. Look, man. If y'all keep him, he's not going to be happy. Especially since y'all not going to give him the extension. So this is what I give you. I give you a bunch of seconds where you got to make the money work. So this is going to be tough, man.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. A lot of people think that KD trade stock went up because we just saw Desmond Bain from the Grizzlies.
Well, 4 first-round picks.
KCP.
Yeah.
Cole Anthony. I like Cole Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Or unprotected first-round picks. One first-round pick.
Wow.
And that's just for Desmond Bain.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, well, Desmond Bain got that kind of haul. What kind of haul can KD?
You're not going to get close.
It's Phoenix playing.
You may not even get a first-round pick. You may get a couple of players to match the salary, or 3 players, and you may get a couple second-round picks, a bunch of second-round picks. Why would I give you a first-round pick for a 37-year-old guy? Let me ask you this. Did KD have a better year than LeBron? No. Okay. What did happen for the Lakers this year?
And
then what happened? Okay. You started to kind of get my big. But dude, how can you have a big when you're paying everybody? Dude, if you pay 3, you can't pay nobody else. So if you pay KD and give him that extension, you better have a ready-made team. That's why, to your point, it's got to be San Antonio. And I think he knows that. It can't be Houston. Because Houston, you're going to give up, people going to want Sengun, and they're going to want Jalen Green.
Right. That's why it's Phoenix over playing the hand, because they're not going to get
No.
They're asking for.
No. They may give you Jalen Green.
You think so?
I wouldn't, because I would start playing Jalen Green at point. So I wouldn't give him up. I don't think that, and I think Ime Udoka is a great coach. But I understand why he's not playing anymore. But I would play Jalen Green at point guard. When I coached him, he played point guard at high school.
So let's just say going back to the Desmond Bain trade. What was your thoughts on the trade when it came across the board?
I like the trade for Orlando from this point of view. He can score. He can handle the rock and facilitate. We watched him grow immensely for the Grizzlies with all the games that Ja Morant has missed. Think about this. They had a better than 500 record when Ja Morant missed games. So that tells you how good a team they were and that you can put the ball in his hand and he can lead. He's a shooter that can score. And he plays defense. I like the move for Orlando because KCP is long in the tooth. He's not the same player. I think Desmond Bain, if they stay healthy, puts them in position to be one of the top 4 teams in the East, without doubt.
Big praise.
Desmond Bain. So let's look at it from the Grizzlies side. Now that you got rid of Desmond Bain, what does that say for
Ja Morant?
Well, I thought initially when I saw that trade that they was going to clean house and start over. I'm thinking they was going to trade Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., but it's been quiet. So it seems like they're not. And I think they really wasn't looking to trade Desmond Bain. But when somebody said they're going to give you 4 unprotected first-round picks, I mean, you got to do that, man. There's no telling what those picks turn out to be.
Right.
So I just think they was overwhelmed with the offer. If it would have been 2 first-round picks, no. 3, no. But they were so overwhelmed with the offer, they couldn't say no.
Wow. You was telling me on the first show, you were saying Boston won't be the same next year.
Things change, landscape changes. Is Orlando about to be on the cusp of being a contender in the next few years to do what Indiana is doing now? And Indiana seems like they still young outside of Miles.
Okay, this is the thing. Is Wendell Carter, to me, good enough at that center position? And Jonathan Isaac, are those 2 guys good enough at that center position to hold it down? Because now you got to understand this. You would think at some point, Philly got to get a healthy Joel Embiid. You're going to have to deal with it. And man, this is how sad it is. We don't even talk about Philadelphia. We talk about Philadelphia like they already done, right? And to a certain degree, you can feel that way because the one thing that all older players have in common, they don't play defense.
Is Embiid coming back?
Yeah, I'm sure. I think he had surgery.
He did.
Yeah, he's coming back because But now check this out. His extension kicks in next year, so they gave him a 4-year extension.
All right, that's their fault.
All right, man. You don't want big fella looking for you, man. Mess with that man and his money. You know about people and their money. When you mess with people money, you're messing with their emotions, baby. Like Big One.
Man, Embiid needs worse than yours, right?
And you know mine, man.
Takes me down.
Yeah, that's true.
You can slap Embiid and run.
Yeah, he can't run. Well, you're going to have to jump up and slap. Or jump off a chair. Yeah. I can promise you, I can tell you this. The one piece of advice I can give you, if you do that, don't get caught. And don't trip and fall up. But you know how some people run and looking behind, and all of a sudden they turn and they hit something? Don't do that.
Right.
If you slap him, you better have your path. Your getaway already planned out.
Let's do this. Let's go to break. Let's do one last segment. I want to ask you real quick for Edgar, and we'll bring Edgar in on young quarterbacks. Year 2 quarterbacks going into next season. Who you like?
Okay.
And what would you rank
going into next season?
Well, since now they're going to take over my show and tell me, about these young quarterbacks, I guess we're going to take a break to get some deals to listen to the ending host, Sam Mitchell. Oh, and by the way, not.
Sports fans of Real Talk and Hoops Insight, stay in the game with NBA legend Sam Mitchell. Now you can show your love for the In the Game podcast with exclusive merch from the In the Game online store. Coffee cups, caps, grab bold t-shirts, cozy hoodies, sleek thermal drinking cups, and more. It's all with that signature Sam Mitchell swagger. Visit InTheGameStore.com today and get in the game with Sam Mitchell, because it's more than a show. It's a lifestyle on the In the Game Network. And we're back on the In the Game Network with Coach Sam Mitchell. Lean in right now to hear what the coach has drawn up on the chalkboard.
Welcome back to In the Game. I'm your host, Sam Mitchell. Before we went, let me keep reminding you. Hit that like button, people. Subscribe to In the Game Network. We got a plethora of shows in the pipeline coming to you. All different kind of shows with some different perspectives, not just on sports, but in life in general. We got some financial news from a group of women who are still finding themselves their voice and their name for their show, but two smart, intelligent women that's going to be spewing out some great financial advice for women, because all our sisters out there don't get married. All our sisters out there don't have a husband to lean on. So we got to show them and educate them on how to plan for their retirement and their future. So we just got a lot of things coming down the pipeline. But Nada, you said you had a list of second-year quarterbacks. And people, I want to give you my expertise when it comes to football. I played 13 years in the NBA, but I'm from Georgia. Everybody from Georgia played football. I played football from the time I could walk. Junior Pee-wee, junior Pee-wee, on up all the way until the 10th grade. And when I was starting on the varsity and got hurt, I dislocated my shoulder. Mom made me quit, and the rest is history. I started playing basketball and running track and all TC and other things like that. But football was my love. Football was my passion. And let me tell you why I love it so. People could just mess with you and dump on you and just get on your last nerve Monday through Saturday. Or in high school, Monday through Thursday. But not on Friday night. You put them pads on, you get on that bus, you drive over to Memorial Stadium, down on the river in Columbus, Chattahoochee River in Columbus, Georgia, and you go to hitting, man, and you just let it all hang out. I love football, man. The physicality, the aggression, the toughness. Yeah, you got to be tough. And the thing I love about football, Nadi, is my will against yours. Can I break you? Can I break you? Can I make you quit? Can I put so much pressure on you and inflict so much pain that you quit? That's what I love about football. That being said, who are these second-year quarterbacks, man, that you want to get my opinion of?
Well, you got Jaden Daniels. You got
Come on, dude.
Caleb Williams.
Superstar.
You got Michael Penix Jr., and we don't even have Bo Nix on this.
That's who shocked me this year. Look, I'm from Columbus, Georgia, which is 45 minutes from Auburn. I saw Bo Nix play a lot of football at Auburn. Man, I thought he was pedestrian at best. I thought when Bo Nix was born, I think his mom and dad had put a football in his crib. Look at the name, Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix was born to be a quarterback. I think his mom and dad raised him to be a quarterback at birth. His whole identity was to be a quarterback. When he was at college, all he talked about was being an NFL quarterback. And I think he put so much pressure on himself at Auburn, he did not have a good career at Auburn. He goes to Oregon, gets better, redefined himself. The year he had in the NFL last year, to me, shocked me. I thought Bo Nix would have been a flop. But then you have to ask yourself, he's a better than average athlete. He's a student of the game. And then he got lucky. He got a great coach in Sean Payton, who I've met before. So Bo Nix did surprise me. But I think Bo Nix is only going to get better. I think Jaden Daniels, dude, the thing about him is as he gets better, it's going to get scarier. This is going to be the problem for the Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. If they get greedy, by the time it's time for their contract extension, it's going to be quarterbacks that be eligible for like $70 million because they get 60 now.
I mean, they got to play up to the standard, though.
Okay. We talked about this last show. You gave me the top 11 highest paid quarterbacks.
Right.
Only 3 of them on that list where Patrick Mahomes wasn't even on the list. So the only 2 on that list that I'm paying is Lamar and Josh. The rest of them, no, they can go kick rocks all day long and stuff. And I said it last week and I say it again. Players in the NFL, you've been hoodwinked. You fell for the banana and tailpipe. You let these agents tell you that represent the quarterback, that the quarterback is the heart and soul of the team, that it's the most important position. If that's the case, explain to me how Trent Dilfer and the Baltimore Ravens won Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that was different.
Well, it's the same now. Okay. I hate
to get here. Okay, my point of asking you that was because you got.
But explain something to me.
You got guys like Anthony Richardson. You got Daniel Jones.
Anthony Richardson should be playing slot wide receiver.
Right, he's not gonna get another contract.
No.
No,
he's not.
These guys got to play up to the standard. We didn't even name Drake.
But see,
we didn't name J.J. McCarthy up in Minnesota, who's really just rookie because he was hurt all that. But he got weapons.
But see, this is what about Anthony Richardson that bothered me. He skipped steps. When I'm working with a player and developing a player, you can't skip steps, right? They skipped steps. Anthony Richardson should have went back to Florida and played. Dude, he had 12 games under his belt. 12. You don't even know the position after 12 games. Give Bo Nix credit. Bo Nix played 5 years of major college football, people. Bo Nix averaged about 14 games a year. Think about this, Natty. All the players that did well at quarterback position. Jaden Daniels played over 50 college games at quarterback. Bo Nix, over 50 games at quarterback. Even Williams played about 40 games. So those guys are hit. And now most colleges run the same type of pro offenses. So these guys are ingrained in that. So to me, Anthony Richardson, man, think about it. Anthony Richardson should be a senior.
All right, that's what I'm saying. He's younger than those guys. And after those 12 games, you talk about his agent told him you're going to be a top 5 pick.
Okay, now I understand that and get the money, but this is the thing, though. You got this contract, and all the money is in the second contract.
Right.
So again, agent pumps them up. His parents or the people advising him say, "Look, you're gonna still be you may be the number 1 pick one day, but you got to go to school." And I tell you what, we're gonna do this summer. We're gonna find you a quarterback guru. We're gonna send you somewhere to your footwork, passing accuracy, work on your skill. Then when you go back to Florida, we're gonna insist that the quarterback coach, if he's not up to par, they got to go get you a better quarterback coach. Forget the offensive coordinator. He called a play. You need a quarterback coach. And if I was Florida, Billy Napier, I would went to a Trent Dilfer or one of these guys, Chase Daniels, and say, look, I want to pay you as a consultant to come in here and work with my quarterback. I'm going to give you so much time a week or how we break it up to spend watching film and breaking down things for him. Anthony Richardson skipped steps. That's why, because he skipped those steps, look what it did to him, Natty. Because he wasn't sure of himself as a quarterback, he ran the ball a lot. In order to validate himself, he had to run over people and use his physicality. And it works. But let me tell you something, bro. Running quarterbacks that are trying to run over people don't last in the NFL. Because, dude, you got to understand something. And it reminds me of Bob Sanders, the safety for the Colts. And he said this: I try to hit people so hard, I either try to knock myself out when I hit them, or I try to knock them out. So them boys in the NFL ain't scared of your physicality. As a matter of fact, they're going to go at you. That's why he hurt now and beat up. Now think about this. Because he had to do all that to try to win games and prove himself and couldn't rely on his quarterback ability because he has very limited because he only played 12 games in college, he getting beat up, he getting hurt, Now look at all the time he's missing. So now look what the coach went out and did. Brought in Daniel Jones. Well, they don't care if Daniel Jones beats somebody, beats him out. They ain't got no money invested in Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones don't work out, they're going back into the draft and get them a quarterback. So to me, by skipping steps, he's put himself in position. Now, if they don't offer him a contract, somebody will pick him up and say, we'll make him our third quarterback because he's a physical specimen. Or we'll put some packages in where he short yardage, he could run, and he still can throw now. So they'll put in packages. I'll bring him on my team and put packages in for him. But until he shows me he can play the position the way the position's supposed to be played, no. And this is going to hurt him now because he can very well be out the league when this contract is up.
Yeah, I mean, one thing he does have is youth on this side. But let me ask you about Michael Penix Jr. What are your thoughts on Michael Penix?
I like him now that he's not big. He's accurate. He's smart. He knows where the ball goes. There's another kid that played a lot of games in college. So I like it. I think what Atlanta did was genius. Think about this. What if Atlanta didn't take Michael Penix Jr.? And look at what happened to Kirk Cousins. And look at this draft where they felt like it wasn't great quarterbacks in this draft. Think about it. Now, you would have been the Falcons looking for a quarterback. And it ain't no quarterbacks out there. Look what the Pittsburgh Steelers had to do to get Aaron Rodgers. Sit on their hands. Please. Sound like James Brown.
In hindsight, 2020, let's say the Falcons didn't take Michael Penix. Shador would have been right there.
But it's the problem now. You ain't taking Shador in the first round.
Okay.
They didn't. Now think about what the Falcons have done now. They were able to pick up 2 edge rushers in the first round. So they're building the team the right way. Yeah. But they did the right thing by going ahead on and drafting Michael Penix last year. Because they looked out in the future and said, in the next 4 to 5 years, we don't see a quarterback coming down the pipeline that we love. So give the Falcons credit, man. That's what a GM that's what a GM's a coach is worried about today. I'm worried about today. I'm not even really worried about tomorrow. Tomorrow gonna take itself. I'm worried about what we get done today. A general manager job is to plan for today and tomorrow, next year, the year after. See, now when we used to go in meetings and I go in there with the general manager, we would show them our plan for this year. And then he would show him his 5-year plan or 3-year plan, then a 5-year, where we should be, what markers we should be hitting, where we should be as a team and an organization over the course of a 4 or 5 year span. And give them give the Falcons credit, man. They did the right thing. Now, they got to coach them up. They got to get after, they got to use some schemes to get after the quarterback. But if they can get a pass rush, finally, and Michael Penix can be the quarterback and keep growing and developing like we all hope, hey, man, this may be the year that the Falcons may make playoffs. So this may be that year. Now, who else on that list?
Well, like I said, you got JJ McCarthy of the Minnesota.
We don't know what to expect. Look, man, they gonna struggle and the Vikings gonna struggle. He's a rookie. He's a rookie. And what do rookies tend to lean on too much? Their legs.
Right. What up, Edgar?
Do we have Edgar joining us?
What's up, y'all? Yeah, can you hear me?
I got you, Edgar.
So I got a conspiracy
man on the radio. Edgar, most people have a face for radio. You got a face for radio, TV, movies, podcasts. You just got one of them faces, man. Good looking dude, man.
Thank you so much. Hey, I got a conspiracy theory for you, though.
What's that?
The Titans and the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, now you dealt with your owner. I just heard you talking about the owner. Do those owners want to win a championship, or are they just in for the money? The Falcons.
Nigga, your child back there, Bob. Now, I mean, Edgar, they want to win because the one thing about owners when they win championships, their franchise value increase. They can charge more for coaches. They can charge more for tickets. They can charge more for everything. And then the pride you get to walk around knowing that you're owner of a Super Bowl champion team, second to none. Money don't move there. It's things like winning now that does.
Well, what has prevented the Falcons from putting together a squad that could actually do it? I mean, other people do it.
Well, quarterback. Do you have a great defense? I mean, all the things that the Philadelphia Eagles had, the Falcons did. But I think after this draft last year getting Michael Penix, and then this year getting those two edge, I think the Falcons are going in the right direction. And if Penix works out like we all think he is, we got our quarterback now for the next 15 years.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you a question. I missed the show. I had an error, but I got in late. I know you all covered the Game 5, but let me ask you this. Is it possible that Halliburton is faking that leg injury? I mean, because he knows that they're going to be a beat?
Nah, he wouldn't do that. Nah, he's not faking it. It's probably sprained, man. It's probably sore. He can play. But he's not he wouldn't fake it. And I said, I talked about this at length. That should have been on Rick Carlisle to take him out of the game. Player can take him out of the game. But I hear some music playing, man. Sound like now they're trying to get me out of here, man. Look, Egg, I enjoyed it, man, today. Listeners, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to listen to us on the In the Game Network. Tweet us out. Man, we're going to keep doing this every week. I'm going to give you some different insights from a player, from a coach who's played and coached everywhere. So again, thank you for joining us. You've been listening to In the Game podcast with your host, Sam Mitchell. And remember, don't hate the game. Hate the player, baby, or hate yourself.